We are talking about our top 5 bounce back players for the 2020 season. But before I can do any of that, I have to implore everybody out there to download the new NFL fantasy app. Not only is it the best app in the world, you can have your fantasy league on there. You can watch live games. You get us player stories. How great is that, Marcus?
It's pretty great, I have to say.
Not as great though as your list of top 5 bounce back players. Can we pull that list up right now and take a look, Marcus? Why don't you run us through this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Cam Newton, obviously having missed essentially all of last season, I expect him to have a pretty good year now that he's in New England. David Johnson should have a bigger role in Houston. A couple of wide receivers, T.Y. Hilton and Adam Thielen. And Evan Ingram, who really for him it's just a matter of pretty much trying to stay healthy this year.
Yeah, I really love the inclusion of Cam Newton and Evan Ingram. But one player that kind of jumps out to me right now is Adam Thielen because, first of all, Kevin Stefanski is gone as the offensive coordinator. Mike Zimmer likes the passing game and uses it about as much as my dad uses his iPhone, which means not at all. But why do you like Adam Thielen so much?
Well, I mean, part of it is, like I said with Evan Ingram, it's about trying to stay healthy. I mean, last year, Thielen missed a number of games as he was dealing with a nagging hamstring injury. On top of that, his target share went down significantly, had around 11% target share in that Minnesota offense. Compare that to the previous 2 seasons when that number was up above 25% of the target. So I expect that with the new offensive coordinator, as you mentioned, Gary Kubiak takes over there. Stephon Diggs is now in Buffalo. And because of this weird offseason where there hasn't been a whole lot of time for teams to work together, I would expect that veterans are going to get a little more of a workload in a lot of offenses, and I think that means a bigger target share for Adam Thielen, especially early in the season. Right now, he's coming off the board in maybe the 3rd round. I would be fine taking him there. Look, I might even reach to the end of the 2nd round if you really believe that Adam Thielen's going to have a huge bounce-back season.
Stephon Diggs, of course, is a member of the Buffalo Bills. Justin Jefferson will be playing opposite of him, so that means a lot of opportunity for Adam Thielen. And another receiver that you had on your list, T.Y. Hilton. Why are you excited about him?
Well, T.Y. Hilton, another guy, it seems kind of a theme, right? A lot of these guys who are bounce back candidates is because they were hurt and missed some time. And for T.Y., that was sort of the case last year, which was kind of an anomaly for him. I mean, this is a guy who throughout his career had played 14 or more games pretty much every season. The other issue was playing with Jacoby Brissett, who was fine as a quarterback, but just was not a guy who was aggressive trying to push the football downfield. From 2016 to 2018, T.Y. Hilton averaged about 12.5 air yards per target. That number dropped to just above 10 air yards per target last year with Jacoby Brissett. Now they've got Phillip Rivers, and the Baron of the Bolo tie is not shy about trying to push the ball downfield. That probably means good news for T.Y.
Yeah, if there's anybody who's ready to go YOLO and just chuck the ball deep, it is going to be Phillip Rivers. And, of course, Jacoby Brissett was playing with a knee injury for a large part of last season as well. So there is an opportunity for T.Y. Hilton to bounce back. Let's take, you know what though? I'm gonna tee up my own list because I want to get into this action. So I got Ben Roethlisberger. I went quarterback as well. So I got Ben Roethlisberger, Tevin Coleman, Odell Beckham Jr., and of course we just mentioned Kevin Stefanski a moment ago. JuJu SmithSchuster. And look, I'm gonna go samey as well. I'm gonna have Evan Ingram on there. But if I might. Can I talk a little bit about JuJu Smith-Schuster? And again, because I got Ben Roethlisberger on this list, one of the big reasons why I like him this season is because of the players around him, and specifically JuJu Smith-Schuster, who struggled last season. Obviously, the reason was Roethlisberger was out. He was out there playing with Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges, 2 guys who sound like jobber tag teams in AEW. Like they're there to take super kicks and Metzler drivers from the Young Bucks. They're not there to be NFL quarterbacks, but when JuJu and Ben Roethlisberger are on the field at the same time, they have produced a lot of fantasy points. And as a matter of fact, JuJu has averaged over 16 fantasy points per game when Ben Roethlisberger is the starter. He's had at least 900 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. Those were in 2017 and 2018. And the last time Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback of this team, they led the NFL with close to 700 passing attempts. That might not come to fruition because that defense is so good now, but I think JuJu is actually a pretty good option for people who are burned by last season.
Yeah, and I think the thing to remember is what you talked about. The last time these two guys were together for a full season, that Steelers offense was pretty dynamic. And I know people are worried about Ben's elbow and his long-term health, but you can only worry about what's in front of you. And right now, we've got a healthy Ben Roethlisberger and a healthy JuJu Smith-Schuster sitting in front of us.
He's also in the best shape of his life. So he's got that going for him. One other player I would like to talk about a little bit as well is Tevin Coleman with the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, Raheem Mostert was such a huge star for the San Francisco 49ers at the end of last season, of course, into the Super Bowl. But I really like what Tevin Coleman has got going on. Remember, Kyle Shanahan was a part of that Atlanta Falcons organization that actually drafted Tevin Coleman a few years ago. He was brought in specifically to be the league runner for the 49ers. Of course, injuries kind of derailed that, but I do believe, and especially once you go and look at the tape, Tevin Coleman can really move. As we're watching it right here, right now, some of those moves, he looks great out on the field, and what we really enjoy is this San Francisco 49ers offense that is going to rush the football. They had 3 players last season with over 500 yards. They were second in the NFL in rush attempts, second in the NFL in rushing yards per game. Outside of the Baltimore Ravens, nobody ran the ball as much as the San Francisco 49ers, so you expect them to do that as well. And you know what? I think Tevin Coleman's going to end up being that lead back. What do you think, Marcus?
I think he's got a chance. Mike Florio, our pal and researcher, was on the NFL Fantasy Podcast recently, and he made the point that the 49ers last year had 5 different running backs lead the team in fantasy points in any given week. So that means there's going to be opportunity there. And look, Raheem Mostert was great at the end of the season, but you wonder how much of his performance can be duplicated again this year, which means Evan Coleman's going to have that opportunity. Look, at some point, he's going to be a lead back, right? He keeps teaming up with Kyle Shanahan. We keep thinking it. It's like predicting the end of the world. Eventually, you're going to be right. So maybe this happens with Tevin Coleman.
At some point, we're bound to be correct, but I think that we will not go wrong if we have a member of the San Francisco 49ers backfield on our fantasy roster. Now, if you agree or disagree with any of our selections here, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the NFL Fantasy channel on YouTube. But most importantly, the most important thing you need to do today, go download the NFL Fantasy app. Again, play your leagues there. Watch us do our player stories. Our faces will be on your phone. Believe me, it's a treat. Plus, you'll be able to watch live NFL games this season. For Marcus, I'm Adam. Good luck. We'll see you soon.